In a world dominated by RTX 5060 series GPUs, which aren't even that good in comparison, let's not forget the real hero, GTX 1066. 6 gig. Man, when GTX 1060 came out, it was golden. But this was 9 years ago. We're seriously hitting the UNC status for real, guys. But why its popularity is dropping so hard? Because if you look at the Steam hardware charts, it was the #1 GPU for over 5 years. But now it barely stands in top 15. So why did everyone suddenly swap it for something else? Because if we look at a Call of Duty Warzone performance, it works perfectly fine on 1080p balanced preset, and Sweat would like to say otherwise, but if you're bad at 90 FPS, you wouldn't hit any 360 no-scopes on 200 FPS, bro. Now, probably the most popular use case for a GTX 1060 is going to be CS2, right? And after running the workshop benchmark map and a couple of dead matches, I can assure you that the game is perfectly playable on 1080p medium settings with more than 200 FPS on average. So why is that? I still don't see it. So maybe Cyberpunk will give us a clue or something. And okay, I think we just hit our first gotcha game, because on 1080p high the FPS was hovering only around 30, and don't ask me why I thought it could do high settings, but when I dropped it to low it didn't improve that much. It was playable though, but at the same time 3060 would have gotten us like 80 plus FPS on ultra settings. But still, Cyberpunk was playable, so it doesn't show the whole picture. Are there more games that aren't playable? Well, if we're talking about Forza, Apex, Siege, just take a look at the results. They are not the reason for the popularity drop. And I'm certain that Fortnite isn't either, but I just can't prove it, because it just refuses to log me in. And after literally spending over 2 hours looking for fixes, I just gave up. Though Marvel Rivals were running a bit below my expectations, but we'll take 60 FPS on 1080p low. And it's not like the issue is the power draw or something like that. You don't need some fancy 1200 watt 80 plus platinum PSU to power it. And yes, I'm looking at you 1590. Like a normal 450 watt PSU is perfectly fine for it, as it only requires a 6-pin power connector. Of course, an ROG Strix version or MSI Gaming X or a similar model would have an 8-pin connector, but still more than 500 watt PSU is just not needed for any 1060. So maybe the problem is new games after 2024? Well, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 didn't hit 60 FPS, but I think that it was sort of expected. But on a more positive note, at least we were able to play the game on the lowest settings, cause 45-ish FPS felt more than playable actually. And for Wukong fans, I also have some good news, cause if you drop the resolution scaling to 50%, on low settings we can even achieve 65 FPS on average. That's not too good. Bad, huh? By the way, if the resolution is 100%, then we get choppy 30 FPS with some frame drops. But maybe the issue lies in the fact that we can't even run some games. Because, for example, no Indiana Jones or Doom the Dark Age. We just don't have ray tracing support, and we're not using Linux out here. And by the way, another thing is that Nvidia has officially announced that they will stop driver support for the 10,000 series graphics cards, but to be honest, I don't blame them. Some smartphone manufacturers end their support as soon as 3 or 4 years, so 9 years seems really like a solid lifespan, so maybe that's also a reason why people are upgrading? I don't know. But basically, 1060 has aged better than I thought, and 9 years in my opinion is a very solid lifespan for a $300 or Euro graphics card. And don't forget that currently, like literally right now, it is still a good graphics card for esports. So that's pretty impressive actually. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Cheap bastard out.